Hey guys, hi, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Steven. Welcome to day 10 of Vlogmas. I apologize for my voice. I know it sounds awful. This is my first time actually being sick since I started becoming a flight attendant. Um, Yesterday I thought it was congestion from the cat, but it turns out it was a little cold. It doesn't hurt. I'm not that sick. It's just a little tickle back here. I hate it. Um, but I wanted to film something for Vlogmas so I can muscle through and make sure that it's like a complete Vlogmas. I didn't miss anything. So I wanted to give you a little synopsis of yesterday, what this layover has been like, and I'm eating a little Halo. Actually, I have like a dozen of them in my bags. I'm eating them all night. So yesterday, my show time was 7:35. My crew was amazing. We had a great crew. Two of the girls were my classmates. It was a mother and daughter team I adore. Um, Easy flight to LA. Easy after a 2-hour delay. I know. Our first officer was a no-show, or he called out sick or something. So we had to wait for a reserve first officer. So we were delayed 2 hours. When we got to LA, I had to run to my gate to go to Cleveland. Now, I'm a chaser on this flight, on this trip, meaning that this trip, I don't actually work with the same crew once. I switch different crews every leg. So this next leg last night was from LA to Cleveland. Because I was running so late because of the delay, crew scheduling had sent an ACARS message. ACARS being a system where the ground services at my airline can communicate with our flight crew, who and then can communicate with us if they need be. So they told one of the flight attendants that they had to stay on board to help board the next flight to Cleveland because I was running late. So when I got there, boarding was pretty much already complete. Um, she took off, I took over. We had an easy flight. It was long. It was 4 hours and 22 minutes. I think 4 or 5 different people got sick during that flight. Nothing too apocalyptic, but they were pretty sick, throwing up. So it gave us an opportunity to take care of people, which is good. But other than that, as an uneventful flight, the lead and I just talked about cats the whole time. It was nice. I got here this morning about 7:20, got to the hotel about 8:20, and ate my body weight in bacon at breakfast. And all that weight loss I had, it's slowly creeping back. Well, then I went right to bed because I was so tired, and this was just starting. So I woke up about 3, and I decided to get out of the hotel. I did not have the energy to work out, but I wanted to just go walk around the mall that's nearby. The shuttle for the airport, the hotel, I should say. Oh, my tea is right over here. The shuttle for the hotel had to go back to the airport a couple times to pick up crews, so they couldn't take me to the mall. So I decided to walk. Big mistake because it's like almost a mile, and it was probably, I don't know, 28 degrees. It was freezing. But I got to the mall, walked around. I'm in Strongville, Cleveland, near Cleveland, and this mall is just boring. Oh my goodness, Cleveland really has to do something. I, one of my subscribers feels she has to defend her city every time I talk about what a boring time I have in Cleveland. So she's like, she gave me a list of all things I should do next time I'm in Cleveland. But since I didn't go into Cleveland, I was stuck near the hotel. I was hoping the mall would, at least salvage something of this layover. It did not. It was an awful place. I was not tempted to spend a single dollar outside of Taco Bell in the food court and Starbucks. But so that's been my layover. I watched a documentary on the ballet, the Nutcracker. Whoop, whoop you do. And that's it. That's been my layover. Not the most glamorous life of a flight attendant, and the past 2 weeks really hasn't been that interesting, honestly. So I'm sure I'm not enticing many of you to become flight attendants. It is a great life, and I love it, but it's been kind of boring this past week and a half or 2 weeks. So I wanted to answer two questions that subscribers have asked me. One is a question I did not answer last week from Andrea. And I don't have the question written down in front of me, but I believe the gist of the question was if I knew someone who is a flight attendant for maybe a different airline, potentially with international travel benefits, could that flight attendant put me on their travel benefits as their plus one or their travel companion or whatever? The answer is yes. The simple and easy answer is yes. Have I ever just told you one little yes or no? No. Well, I just did. So the longer answer is I don't know of any airline that has to document who you select to put on your travel benefits. My airline didn't ask me how well I knew the person I have as my travel companion. They do want, if you're married to them, if it's a husband or a wife or significant other, and there is any documentation, they probably want it. So if it's your parents or children, they probably want documentation. But there's a travel companion or a plus one that other airlines use. My airline uses one category is just travel companion. I've had my friend Melanie as a travel companion, and my friend Marcus is still on my list now as a travel companion. Neither of them have used my flight benefits once. Is that weird? I think that's weird. But neither of them have used my benefits. So, yes, so I don't know why it would be tricky or why it would be a real difficult question. But yeah, you could put anyone you want as a travel companion or a plus one on your travel benefits. It wouldn't be, that other person being a flight attendant would not make them ineligible for your flight benefits. So, if you're a flight attendant and your boyfriend works for a different airline, you could put each other on as your flight benefits and reap the rewards of having such a handy boyfriend, right? That leads me to start thinking about buddy passes and less savory and less ethical uses of travel benefits. I get 6 round trips, I think, or 12, one ways, buddy passes a year. I have never used one. I have never offered one, and no one has blatantly asked me for one either, which is kind of weird, I think. And I'm never going to give one to anybody. So if you're watching this and you hear that I got buddy passes, don't ask for one. I'm not going to give it to you. Because mostly, if you go back in the news a couple of years ago, there is a story about people or women being pulled off of a United flight because they were wearing leggings. And there was a big brouhaha about United being against people's, having, deciding whether or not someone should be on them based on their clothing choices. And that couldn't be further from the truth. The reality was those women were flying on someone else's flight benefits or buddy passes. And when someone travels on my flight benefits, they have to travel with in their own dress code. There is a compliance dress code that you have to follow in order to fly non-rev or on a buddy pass or something like that. If you're paying for your ticket, you can wear whatever you want. But if you're flying on someone's benefits, each airline has a very specific dress code. Typically, it's something like business casual. Nothing hard. It's not hard to do. But there's definitely something. And if you don't follow those rules and the gate agent or the lead flight attendant or the captain of that flight says, no, you're not in compliance. You're not going on. And not just that, but you're also potentially putting the person who had that buddy pass, who gave you that buddy pass, you're getting them in trouble. Because then if you break the rules, you're putting my travel benefits for other people at risk. Like my airline might suspend my travel benefits for others, or deny me buddy passes in the future, or just deny me having a travel companion. So I would not give out my buddy passes to anyone unless they were like a blood brother and I trusted them beyond anything that they would not break the rules and they would travel in compliance. Unlike those girls on that flight who were taken off because they were wearing leggings. Leggings themselves aren't a problem. It's just that United, it was against United's dress code for non-rev passengers. It doesn't sound very important, but it's pretty big. So I don't give out buddy passes. And there's a truly, I think it's just the worst thing possible. But if anyone ever says, "Hey, so you have you can have someone fly with you for free, right? Like a travel companion or a +1. If I slide you some coins, if I slide you some cash to make it easy, could you put me on your flight benefits? Wink, wink." No. Just say no, like Nancy Reagan. Say no. It's unethical. It's against every airline's policies. And it's just awful. And I'll tell you, if they screw up, they do something wrong, you are the one that's going to be punished. So just don't do it. It's awful. So that was one question from Andrea or Andrea. The other question I got from a subscriber was, what is a chaser? Now, that was in response to, I think, yesterday's video saying that where I said I'm on a chaser pairing. So in my airline, a basic crew consists of 3 people. We have A, who's lead, B, who is typically mid-cabin, who's responsible for exit row briefings, and C, who is in the back galley, who reads the pre-departure and the safety demo. And they're also in charge of the galley and the lav and all that stuff. On a 320 and a 321, we have additional crew members. On a 320, we have 4 flight attendants. We have A, B, C, and D. D sits up in front next to A. B would sit all the way in the back with C in the back galley. And D's responsibilities would be to arm and disarm the front door, to keep an eye out for passengers or guests who could potentially assist us in the event of an emergency. Every flight attendant has that obligation. That's one of their duties. They are to do a safety demo, and D would also have a compliance area to watch out for, make sure that our guests are being compliant with bags, tray tables, all that kind of stuff. Their compliance area would be from the front of the aircraft up to the exit row on a 320. What else would their obligations be? Service. They would assist the lead, A, in doing our snack and beverage service. And there's a couple of little things. It's not a difficult position. The best part about being D is, what would be the best part? I think the only easiest part is that you really don't have to get on the PA ever, because the lead would double check your door when you're arming your door. So I should backtrack. So the lead, when that front door closes, they arm that door, their door first, and they get on the PA and they would say, in my airline, they would say something like, "Flight attendants, arm doors for departure, cross-check, and all call." So all the flight attendants would arm their doors and stay by their PAs to answer the all call. So the lead would look at the flight attendant panel in the front, see that all the doors are armed. They would call everyone on the PA except for D, who's standing right next to them, and say, "Hey, L1, R1 armed and cross-checked." So the doors are double-checked. And so D just really has to go get their demo kit and get in their position and unpack their demo kit to do their safety demo. Now on a 321, E sits up in front with the lead, and they do everything I just described for D on a 321. Same position. D on a 321 would sit in a jump seat that is over on R3, which is the right-hand door, right-hand facing the flight deck, the right third door from the front on the right. So that's where they would sit, and they would do their safety demo from a particular seat on our aircraft. It's a little bit further back. And they would be responsible for their doors. They would arm the doors on both sides of the aircraft. And when doing all call, they would just visibly double check that they had completely armed or disarmed the doors. Keeping in mind that the lead can see whether or not the doors are properly armed at the panel in the front of the aircraft. And they'd be responsible for, helping passengers on board, just like other flight attendants mid-cabin, making sure everyone's safe, comfortable, seats are, people are seated in their appropriate seats, bags are appropriately placed, that kind of stuff. The only other thing I can think, and service, they would help with snacks and beverages. On a 320, for our aircraft, on a 320, A and D do service from the front, C and B do service from the back. On a 321, B and E and B would do service from the front after row 5. It sounds complicated. And then D and C would do service from the back. A would be up in front and do a hand service for the people in the first 5 rows. Blah, 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 blah. The only other obligation I can think of off the top of my head, the only other duty would be unaccompanied minors. If we had an unaccompanied minor, which with my airline is anyone traveling by themselves over the age of 5 and from 15 and younger. There are special situations where it might be someone who is older, where the same services have been paid. It's a special thing. But typically UMs are 15 and under, and then over 5 years old. And they're traveling by themselves. And they're usually seated in my airline in the very, very last row. And on an Airbus A320, B is still responsible for them. On a 321, I want to say D is responsible for that unaccompanied minor. Is that right? Yeah. And with the unaccompanied minor, you just make sure that they get their own safety briefing, their own safety demo. You want to bring out the equipment. Make sure that they know how to use the seatbelt, the equipment, where the oxygen mask would fall from the ceiling, which exit is closest, introduce them to the flight attendants, and make sure that they understand that they get off the airplane last with us. We don't need unaccompanied minors just wandering around the aircraft and disappearing into the airport, right? So those are the main duties of chasers. It's a fun position. 320 is a little challenging in that you're by yourself for the pairing, in that, like, this is a 4-day trip, and outside of the time I'm on the aircraft with my crew, I'm by myself, which I don't mind because I'm kind of a loner anyway. On a 321 chaser pairing, you are one of 2 flight attendants, and you're going to be D and E. So you'd be traveling to and from the airport together typically, unless one has to go to the airport earlier to get food or coffee, whatever. And it's nice if you want to, chat with someone, because you wake up in the morning, you can go to breakfast together, you can go to dinner together on your layovers, you can explore a city if you want with that person. And worst case scenario, you just come down from your room and say, hey, how was your morning? How was your night? Did you sleep well? Chat. Then you head off to the airport and go to work. So of the 2 chaser pairings, I slightly prefer a 320 because I do kind of like being alone. But ask me that after 4 days. We'll see. All right. I've been talking for too long. because my voice is, I sound like a gravel pit, right? So, if you have any questions that I have not covered on those, or if you have a different experience with your own airline, certainly let me know. Let us know so we can learn from you as well. And certainly leave any comments or whatever below. Tomorrow I am going to fly from my van time is 7 a.m. My show time is 7:35 a.m. I fly to Orlando and then Detroit for a relatively short layover. I'm hoping I feel better because I love their gym and they have a really good gym. And I need to work out. I haven't worked out in like 2 weeks. I know, awful. Eating like a pig and I haven't worked out in 2 weeks. But I will talk to you tomorrow because tomorrow's Vlogmas Day 11. Yay! All right. Until then, I will talk to you later. Fly safe. Have a good night. Bye.